I'm Sol Campbell, ex-Arsenal and England defender. Tonight, I'm investigating something far more important than football. It's a problem that's costing us all hundreds of millions of pounds. Some of us may have been victims of crime because of it. Others are simply desperate to escape it.
I've got eagerness and I just want the chance, just give me a chance.
We could contribute to a struggling economy, yet we still can't be employed.
Times are tough for all of us, but according to official figures, the unemployment rate for young black men is nearly half, 49%. More than double the figure for young white men.
That is a crisis, and we've got to end this problem. We cannot have another 3 decades of young black male unemployment being twice the national average.
I want to find out why and what can be done to help young black men beat the odds.
Yes, I got it.
I agreed to do this program because I feel if I didn't play football, that I could have quite easily ended up in a totally different environment to where I find myself now. But I've never forgot where I'm from, and never forgot how difficult it was to get out and to get on. But far too many young black males find themselves trapped. Is it the boss's fault that they don't understand the young black male? Or is it the young black male who have to sharpen up how they conduct themselves? So that's what I want to find out. I've spent the past 6 months following 4 young black men in their hunt for work. In Toxteth, a university graduate who wants to be an engineer, and an A-level student who has opted for sport. In London, a would-be apprentice who wants to work in the building trade, and a former criminal who's trying to go straight, and dreams of being a rap star.
Even if you be a rap star, you still want to be in crime as well, because you can't leave it alone. You're laughing, innit? Because it happens, innit? You're laughing.
No, I'm laughing because it's the truth what you're saying, innit? But that's not me no more.
With the economy as it is, can some professional help get them closer to their dream of a paying job? It can be tough being young, British and black. And even tougher here in Liverpool. Here, the number of young people on job seekers allowance is a third higher than the national average. I've come to Toxteth, the heart of the city's black community. In and around 50% young black males are not in work. Do you think you can actually do more, or are you doing enough?
Most people in Toxteth are doing enough to make themselves presentable for jobs and that, but in time I handed out 30 CVs and had no replies.
Not a single reply?
Yeah.
You get judged, you get put in a category straight away before you even get the chance to prove what you're capable of doing.
A lot of people at home, up and down the country, will be probably saying to themselves, there they go again, black people, why they're moaning? You know, why they've got this chip on their shoulder, they should be out there working and getting on with life.
Those questions have been asked for years, for decades. We want to work, we're out there trying to work.
The questions black people asked in the 80s was, why can't we get a job? And back then it was because some of you can't speak English, some of you can't do that. In the 90s it was, you aren't well educated. Last 10 years it was you haven't got degrees, and now we've answered all them questions. We've got to the point where we've got degrees.
We've got it all.
We've got no answers to the questions no more.
Who has got qualifications here? My heart goes out to these young men. They're bright and say they're hungry for work. But their body language shows me they've already lost all confidence. And no wonder. Carl was the first person in his family to go to university. He studied electrical and electronic engineering. a subject he hoped would guarantee him a graduate career. But that was 4 years ago. Now he's desperate for a break.
I had the interview about 6 months ago in a company and got through to the second stage. They sent me up twice and they didn't even reply to me. Like to say I never got the job. They didn't reply, they didn't send me an email.
Such a sad situation to be in. You're banging your head against a brick wall sometimes.
Yeah, I'm still applying up to now. I have done work experience for companies where I've worked for 30 hours a week for 8 weeks and never received payment.
So free?
For free. So that shows that I've got eagerness and I am willing to work. I just want the chance, just give me a chance.
With British industry supposedly crying out for engineers, it seems madness that Carl can't get a look in. But the harsh reality is African Caribbean graduates are 3 times more likely to be unemployed than white graduates.
Clearly, many young black males are not getting into employment after going through education, further education and university. So there's a real problem there, and what that means is, even though you can get qualified, it's not translating into jobs.
Research carried out by Cambridge University academics shows that when factors like class and education are taken into account, black men still fare worse in terms of job offers and pay rates than their white counterparts.
The fact is there is an ethnic penalty which says that compared to a white person of the same age, same qualifications and living in the same area, black males and Asian males are more likely to be unemployed, more likely, if they are employed, to be earning less wages. That's an indisputable fact.
Just 21 and living in London, Abdi Hakim Mohammed remains immensely positive, despite repeated rejection. His dad came here 15 years ago as a refugee. Abdi's currently on job seekers allowance, but he's keen to work. He's passed the taster course in building maintenance, but he's willing to take any job.
I've applied for a lot of jobs now. I think it's going almost 400 now. I mean, it's too much.
400 jobs.
Half of that is sending in CVs through emails, and half of that is handing in personally. Because I've sent a lot through emails and I don't get replies. So I usually prefer now just taking my CV and handing it into the store and talking to manager, whoever is there.
Do you ever feel you want to just give up and forget it and just sit at home and just collect the money from the government?
No, I really don't feel like that, because I don't like it. I don't like going jobs and then taking other people's money. It feels bad, you know? It's not right.
Abdi's doing all he can to improve his chances.
Good morning, my name is Abdi Hakim Mohammed and I'm here for...
He's been attending mock interviews at LEAP, a charity which works with unemployed youngsters from deprived areas.
When you approach an employer, it's imperative that you walk in a straight line. So that doesn't mean that you come to the employer from an angle, straight line,
The skills taught here are basic but vital. As after repeated rejection, many of these youngsters lack the confidence to sell themselves to potential employers.
So the next exercise we're going to do, guys, is called How to Sell.
I'm Hakim and this is a magic pen. Whatever you write comes true.
A lot of the people we see have had a hard time. They've faced struggles, they've suffered disadvantage, and they tend to withdraw. Part of what we have to do is to convince them that if they do certain things, despite it being difficult, if they learn certain things, they can actually make a difference in their lives for themselves and their families.
This magic pen is only $14.99. You can get away.
Abdi says his confidence is all down to these sessions at LEAP.
For example, if you want to be player of the year, you just write it down. It's gonna come true, basically, So magic pen only $14.99.
Okay. Excellent, guys. Get a round of applause, guys. Get a round of applause.
I know what I'd be writing if I had Abdi's magic pen. Job offers for him and the thousands like him. According to the Office for National Statistics, 49% of young black men aged 16 to 24 are officially classed as unemployed. If you take out those looking for work who are in full-time education, it's still 44%. I'm stunned by the numbers. It's worse than South Africa, and these figures aren't new. They just rarely get reported. Abdi is just one of thousands up and down the country who want to work, and sending all these CVs out. It's not 20, it's not 50, it's 400. It shows the character of him. He will not stop, and that's what you need. It's not just a matter of race. Young black men find it harder to get a job than young black women. The unemployment rate for African Caribbean men is 25% higher than for women from the same background. Getting black youngsters into work would benefit the economy by increasing tax revenues and by reducing the cost of dealing with the social fallout linked to unemployment.
We will spend a lot more in terms of policing, in terms of prisons and courts, if these young people aren't given fair opportunities to realise their potential. And it should be of concern to everyone.
On estates where jobs are hard to come by, it's a sad truth that some turn to crime. It's something that I've seen firsthand. And once on that road, it can be hard to turn back.
In my whole life, I have never had a normal paid job, so I'm still going through the hard times now.
We can't name this man. He says when he couldn't find a job, he chose crime. Now, after a spell in prison, he claims he wants to work. But what he says and what I see don't quite tally. You're dressed up and you've got all the nicest things going, but how are you funding all those kind of things at the same time?
Well, basically, in the past I've been to prison, innit, for selling drugs. Obviously, it's not something I'm proud of, so that's why you see me dressed up in these clothes what I'm wearing now today. Obviously, me personally, myself, I'm ready to break the cycle. When I wanted to go to jail, I don't want to do crime. I didn't want to do crime.
But you're still involved in crime?
Right now, today?
Yeah.
No, I'm not involved in crime. I know people are involved in crime. Yeah. I know.
It surrounds you?
Yeah, around me, yeah. But me personally, myself, I'm not in crime.
He wants to be a rapper and says his music's been heard by professionals who say he has the talent. He has the talent. Maybe so, but until he gets a break, I believe he should think about getting an ordinary job to keep him away from crime. Do you think, you're neglecting the other side of reality and getting a job you may think is a mundane job? Do you think you can compromise and do both?
I could compromise and do both, but like I said, if I would like to work, I would more or less like to work in a music background.
I totally understand where he's coming from. He's never going to give his dream up. But I don't think he has completely let go of the other life, which is easy money. I hope I'm proven wrong. We've arranged for him to have some mentoring sessions at LEAP, where they've experience in getting ex-offenders into work.
I just want for myself to be successful.
Research shows there's concern in the black community that too many black boys aspire only to these glamorous high-paid careers. Quite simply, there aren't enough role models promoting everyday jobs. My concern is that people like me, footballers and rappers, are the role models of today. For me, I feel uneasy with that because it should be people locally in the community or someone in their school or maybe a manager or whatever.
I would agree, and I think we have to make more of the fact that there are black men doing, really important jobs as lawyers, as doctors, as engineers.
You ready?
Clem Ozil is a good role model. He works for a building services company as a plumber. Today he's on a call out to a restaurant moving a sink. And we've paired him with Abdi, who wants to work in the building trade. Remember, he's the lad who sent out 400 job applications.
I'm going to cut this pipe here, cut this here, and then we'll move it across, yeah?
Abdi's glad to be getting some hands-on experience.
How did you screw in the first place?
Badly. Abdi's passed a basic course in building services engineering. He's covered electrical maintenance, plumbing and air conditioning. But what he lacks is on-the-job training.
It's fast paced in class, it's not that fast paced.
You don't get this much time, do you? No. Work quick.
Clem's advice is that he should specialise in one trade.
That's all done.
And once fully trained, he shouldn't wait for a job to come to him.
You should look into it, Abdi. There's a grant at the moment available for people of your age that want to set up their own businesses.
Young men like Abdi are crying out for advice from those who are older and wiser.
We did a survey last year of young black males in England. 82% said they would like to hear from a role model from their own background who has been successful. So what we do need, we need black men who are successful to volunteer and help these young people to make the right choice at the right time.
All right, now switch it off. If you go to the left-hand side.
And get through a very, I think, difficult system in terms of realising their potential.
The blue one, to the right, up, right. I thought it went pretty well. He's pretty keen. I think I set him straight on some things. There were some things that he was a little confused about on the industry and how it works. Turn that down.
He said like 80% of the plumbers are all self-employed because they get a lot of money, you know, if they work for themselves than working for other people. So yeah, I mean, probably gonna go and try and get a level 2 qualification in it. If I do get the certificates, then I'll probably start my own business.
And just the black cover just behind you?
I think Abdi's day with Clem just shows how valuable mentoring can be. But even after successfully completing college courses, many young black men like Abdi struggle to get apprenticeships, particularly in the building trade. The industry is trying to improve, and the government's expanding apprenticeship schemes. Even so, black youths are still underrepresented.
We've found many young people that have gone to college to do things like plumbing and engineering, but then cannot find the placement so they can actually get real practical experience with employers. It is a real issue. So we think it's very important that FE colleges have employers in place to take on young people on placement.
Abdi now plans to qualify as a plumber, but in the meantime, he's still applying for anything and everything. The Department of Work and Pensions counts differently to the Office for National Statistics. Rather than 49%, they claim the unemployment rate for young black men is just 1 in 6. They say it's 1 in 9 for young white men. So wherever you count it, black youngsters are lagging way behind. Even the government accepts that the gap is too wide. And what worries me is that many young men feel they're being let down by the training courses supposed to help them into work. In Tosteth, Isaac planned to use his free A-levels to study architecture at university, but was put off by the fees. Instead, he got a place on a vocational course in football coaching. He had hoped it would lead to a job working with school kids.
Last year, I done a course which just wasted my time. We just joined it. It was just basically joining a football team. It was just leisure. I didn't learn anything.
Did they actually explain to you that you'd possibly coach a team, or you could get badges?
That was the aim.
Was that the kind of story which was spun?
Yeah, that was the aim. We were supposed to be going out to schools and teaching kids, and none of that happened. We never really got round to that.
Mm.
It's basically just another way to keep it off the streets and just keep it basically out of their records, off the dole, and you know what I mean?
Mm.
Isaac is just one of many. An independent review commissioned by the government, the Wolf Report, found that 300,000 16 to 19-year-olds from all ethnicities are on so-called vocational courses that are of little value. The scheme which Isaac has explained to me is going to lead him to nowhere, no man's land. It's incredible and it's wrong. For me, it feels like you should be just playing over the park with a bunch of your mates and playing football in your spare time. It's unbelievable. And that's the problem. Too many of these things are leading kids nowhere. and the government says it agrees with me.
We are consulting on changes to vocational qualifications for 16 to 19-year-olds, following Professor Wolf's groundbreaking report.
It was time to catch up with Carl in Toxteth. Since graduating in electrical engineering 4 years ago, he's worked for free on placements, but found no paid employment. We've arranged for him to go to a local career centre aimed at graduates.
Just been searching for jobs in like the Merseyside area because I wanted to stay close to my family, but I haven't been able to find no graduate positions in like electrical engineering.
Okay, we can help you. Prior to this meeting, I have actually seen vacancies that I would like to have put you forward for if I'd have known you were available.
These include the paid internship scheme, specially geared towards graduates who want to stay in Merseyside.
A lot of the businesses we work with will see a CV and say, what's Kyle like? You know, sometimes we can do a bit of a sell on it. He's a good lad, you know, I like him.
The Graduate Career Centre is within walking distance of Kyle's home. Yet he's not heard of the internship scheme. Do you think you should have been more proactive in looking for this? Because there's always schemes coming up. You can easily miss this, and then you could go for 6 months, a year without knowing these schemes are out there.
Yeah, well, maybe I could have done a bit more to try and find the scheme, but it is a bit different when you are sending out CVs and you are trying, you are putting the effort in and you are trying to do stuff.
You know, sometimes that's the fact of life. Everybody gets knockbacks, but it's how you recover and what you do after that, and you keep going. Carl's finding it hard going, but many of our major employers have pledged to improve their diversity. Yet some remain sceptical about whether those good intentions will lead to good careers for young black men.
When you look at these big companies' brochures on their diversity policies, you'll often get the chief executive or the MD of the company shaking hands with the cook or the cleaner or the security guard who happens to be black. But when you actually look at the figures, you'll see that there are very few. Reality. In the top FTSE 500 companies, there are virtually no black British citizens on the boards of those companies. Very top. Where you will find them is at junior grades, administrative grades, in the security pool, in the caretaking elements, and they're reflected in very low numbers.
And getting any job is even harder if you've got a criminal record, like one of our Londoners. We'd arranged for him to get some mentoring, but he only made it to one session. I called to find out why. What's been happening?
Obviously, I got stabbed, innit? So.
You got stabbed?
Yeah.
Are you right? Are you okay or what?
Yeah, I'm trying to find I'm alive.
Yeah, that's
the main thing.
I know that's the main thing. I know that's the main thing, but. Alright, see you soon. I don't know what's more shocking, that he's been stabbed or that he's so relaxed about it. Stab wounds just above the waist and needed treatment in hospital. He tells me it's not his fault, it's just down to where he lives. You know, people out there will be saying you're not going to leave crime, and it doesn't matter what you do after that, you're always going to be in that environment. It's a part of you, it's your DNA. Even if you're earning loads of money, being a rap star, you still want to do the crime, so you can't leave it alone. You're laughing, innit? Because it happens, innit? You're laughing.
No, I'm laughing because it's the truth what you're saying, innit? Obviously, I've never ever had a job in my life, so obviously I have to live off crime, innit, just to support and live, or I wouldn't really be here. But that's not me no more.
I don't know if he's still dealing or hanging around bad company. Usually when you get stabbed, it's because you're doing something wrong, but I may be wrong. It was very easy to give up on him, but at 24, he's far too young to be thrown on the scrap heap. And if he was to return to prison, keeping him there cost £37,000 a year.
Let's invest in these young people. They're part of this country. They're part of its future. Let's invest in them so that we all have a better future.
Do you think, let's say, the government or councils can do more, or do you think the young black males should do more to help themselves?
Government definitely needs to do more. government is aware of the statistics as I am, but for example, an organisation like ours gets no government money to do what we do. However, also, the young people need to do more.
The government's approach doesn't focus on ethnic groups like young black males.
It's important.
Their back-to-work schemes favour a more flexible approach, but critics say some funds should be targeted.
There is money in the system, but you've still got to access that money. What we don't see is enough of those grants going to black-led organisations to make sure they can actually provide those services. Because in the long run, it will cost the taxpayer a lot more.
A cut in funding means Leap is having to take out a loan on its building and lay off staff just to keep going. And in future will be able to help fewer clients, black or white. You need to keep these institutions running because they're such a vital cog in society, in local society. And if these go up and down the country, what's going to happen next? The Department for Work and Pensions told us,
we have regular dialogue with a range of charities and voluntary sector organisations. Where job seekers from an ethnic group in an area have common barriers, then Job Centre Plus and work programme providers have the flexibility to tailor support to ensure they get the help they need to find work.
So in 6 months, what's changed for our young men? In Toxteth, Carl's had a couple more job interviews. One of them through the internship scheme we found for him. Isaac, who chose a football coaching course over going to university, is now studying to be a personal fitness instructor, but says that he will apply to do an architecture degree next year. Meanwhile, Abdi's hundreds of applications have paid off, with an interview for a summer job in the tourist industry.
This is it. Dear Mr. Mohammed, I'm delighted to now offer you the position of warden. Yes, I got it. I got in. I'm happy, man. I'm proud, I'm happy. I mean, I can't believe it. I finally got in somewhere.
And what a place to get in. Buckingham Palace. Abdi's gone from being dependent on the state to working at the very top of it.
Hello Abdi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Natasha, welcome to Buckingham Palace. So this is the picture gallery.
It's only a temporary contract, but it's an opening into the world of work. As for a guy who only made it to one of Leap's mentoring sessions, things have gone from bad to worse. This time he's not just late, he can't meet me at all. He's back behind bars having breached the terms of his parole. I actually thought he had it in him to move his life on, but maybe it was too much, too soon. In the 6 months I've been following these young men, I've realised just how protected I've been by sport. The latest figures show youth unemployment is on the rise for everyone, black and white. Unless we want to write off a generation of young black men, society needs to find a way to give them a little bit of help and support at the start of their working lives. It's in all our interests.